All right, hello everybody, good evening, and welcome into a Friday edition of KC Sports Tonight. I'm Mark Poulose, joined by Gabe Swartz on this lovely May the 8th. Gabe, I know Mother's Day is coming up on Sunday. Big question for you right here on the spot. Have you got your mom a gift or a card, or is that for tomorrow?
I have, and my family's actually doing Mother's Day tonight.
Ooh.
Because everybody has plans on Sunday, and then I have plans on Sunday with my wife's family. So yes, it's a Mother's Day weekend for a reason, and I guess that's the stage of life I'm in. Is we've got multiple outings for the weekend. So yeah, I'm covered. I hope you are too, and I hope that everybody watching is covered or got this reminder and said, "Oh my goodness, I need to go to the grocery store."
Yeah, Target, Walmart, the card section. Everyone's flying there right now. So make sure you guys be like Gabe. Make sure your mom, your wife, anyone, whoever is in your life that's a mother is taken care of. Big weekend for them. Don't wait too late. Make sure those lovely ladies in our life get honored because they certainly deserve it. We've got 5 big topics to talk about today. We're going to start on the diamond. The Royals starting a new series tonight, a 3-game set against the Detroit Tigers, and a matchup of 2 teams who are really almost identical in the standings. The Royals right now 17-21, the Detroit Tigers 18-20. But Gabe, don't necessarily want to talk about the series at first. I want to talk about opening day starter Cole Ragans. Yesterday, the Royals put him on the injured list, got a little bit of an elbow issue on his left arm. This is a guy that's had 2 Tommy John surgeries. Never want to see any injury concern with Cole Ragans just because of the type of pitcher that he certainly can be and shown he can be, but obviously with an extensive injury history. Today, he met with the media, kind of talked about what's going on. He's on the 15-day IL, does not anticipate that it's going to be a long stay there, and neither do the Royals. The Royals kind of want to get him off that IL as quickly as possible. So, Gabe, to me, for a Royals fan, for a guy that has Cole Ragans' obviously extensive injury history, this is about as good news as Royals fans could have got.
Yeah, I would say,
but
I would say it's encouraging that it wasn't just straight up, this is awful news. This is anytime that you hear someone is dealing with elbow pain as a pitcher, specifically elbow pain when it's a guy who throws at a high velocity, and early on Wednesday night he was touching 98 with the fastball, so you felt like, oh, he's got his like A stuff. And to see it dramatically drop off pretty quickly and then have him removed from the game, have him put on the injured list, and talking about it today, not good news. It's good in the sense that they're not just like, oh, this is awful, this is terrible, this is season ending, and that the test apparently came back clean, and Reagan said that today. But he doesn't get the benefit of the doubt from the team in the sense that they're putting him on the injured list and said, you know what, we just need to shut you down and be safe. And I don't think he can get the benefit of the doubt from the fans in terms of selling yourself, getting yourself in the mentality of thinking, yes, Cole Ragans is going to be relied upon and a steady presence in the rotation, when we just haven't seen that aside from the outlier of the 2024 season. He only made 13 appearances last year. He made 10 of those before he went on the 15-day IL, which turned into a 68-day IL trip with the left rotator cuff strain last season. And then he made 3 of those 13 appearances in September, and none of those games he went more than 5 innings. So a lot of the evidence that we have for Cole Ragans of last season and the end of last season, and then 2 of his 8 starts this year, obviously getting drilled on your thumb is unlucky, which is the reason he exited a game against Cleveland in April. But that and the elbow, it's just objectively, that's what he has been. So I think it's good that the Royals are saying, hey, this isn't season ending, and we're going to work him back up and shut him down for 3 to 4 days and then get him some bullpens and see what goes from there. That's good. But at this point, I think that you can not confidently in terms of just expect great performances from Stephen Kolek, who pitched really, really well on Tuesday night when he replaced Noah Cameron in the rotation with him getting skipped for the lower back tightness. But you can confidently say that Stephen Kolek is now going to be a very important piece for the rest of the Royals season, because if it's Noah Cameron or if it's Cole Ragans, if he's replacing anyone in the rotation, he's that guy. Ryan Berger is done for the season. Ben Caderna is done for the season, both of them in AAA, and they have had season-ending injuries. So Stephen Kolek is that guy where last year it was Noah Cameron who came up and replaced Cole Ragans and did an admirable job and did a great job, greatly surpassing everyone's expectations. Now this year, this is Major League Baseball. You don't get through a season with 5 starting pitchers very often, and if you do, you got extremely, extremely lucky. You need somebody to be that 6th or 7th guy, and it looks like we're opening the door for maybe 3 weeks, if that's best case scenario, and maybe longer if it's not, for Stephen Kolek to contribute to this team.
No, you always hear that the currency of baseball is starting pitching, and I know going into this year, the Royals were kind of saying they had 8 or 9 guys that they thought could be starters at the major league level, and here we are, first, second week of May, and we're already seeing some of that depth tested, because now, obviously, the situation with Cole Ragans, the situation with Noah Cameron, although it looks like Cameron's going to do his next start, only missing 1, but think about some of those guys that you just talked about, Gabe. Like, these are some of those 8, 9 guys, like Ryan Berger out for the season. Yeah. Like Bailey Falter, I'm not quite sure what's going on with him these days, but like that depth that you were talking about, maybe those 6, 7, 8, 9 guys that weren't going to start in the opening rotation, like here they are. They're going to have to start pitching. But I think I got to say this about Cole Ragans. The team loves Cole Ragans. The players love Cole Ragans. The fans love Cole Ragans. But everyone knows there's the extensive injury history. I mean, there's a reason, like when the Royals traded Aroldis Chapman to the Rangers, like, yeah, they got Cole Ragans, but there's a little bit of a caveat here because we know how good of a pitcher Cole Ragans is. But I just, before last season, he signed a 3-year, $13.2 million contract. Now, this is a guy who the year or when he signed this had just finished, I believe, 4th in the Cy Young voting. Obviously, he was a young guy. It was arbitration, whatever it is before that. Not going to sign a big, like $100 million contract. But when a guy of this caliber signs a 3-year, $13.2 million contract, I think it's fair to maybe say the agent or maybe Cole internally is like, you know what? I do have an injury history. I have had 2 Tommy John surgeries, and what I need to do right now is secure myself a contract where I am set for the rest of my life, where I've made $13 million, and that's definitely what Cole did. Even though, in my opinion, and I think everyone that watches him pitch can see, he has a lot more talent than just a 3-year, $13 million deal. And I think, they're starting pitchers that get more than $1 million per start. And I think Cole, when healthy, certainly has the potential to be one of those guys because he's left-handed, throws 98, has a bunch of put-away stuff. But we've seen this year, scary situation here with the elbow, and we've also seen his command kind of be an issue here. So hopefully nothing much to concern about. But Gabe, taking on the Tigers here, looking at this series, Chris Bubich on the mound tonight for the Royals. For me, this is a very much so a series where the Royals kind of got to plant their flag and say, we are not going to be a bad baseball team. Because no matter what, even if they sweep this series, they'll still be below 500. But the question is, by how much? Will they be 1 game below, 2 games below? Or worse. What do you kind of think of the stakes? I know it's early on, but the stakes, at least to me, seem like this series could determine who's going to be good this year, the Royals or the Tigers. Yeah. What do you think? Well,
you're getting the Tigers off of them playing bad baseball against the Red Sox at home this week, and you're getting them in a situation where Tarek Skubal, the reigning AL Cy Young winner, he is coming off of going on the injured list and having this surgery. So we'll see how long he's out for the Tigers. Framber Valdez had a very notable situation this week where he got suspended because he was getting lit up by the Red Sox and decided to take out his frustrations by nailing Trevor Story in the back. So
that's not how you maturely handle problems, Gabe?
No, not at this point in my life. But at this point, the Tigers are reeling a little bit. So it's an opportunity for sure. And frankly, if the Royals don't win the series, if they don't take at least 2 out of the 3, you're going to come away from the week saying, what a disappointment for the Royals. After saying, wow, what a great road trip when they went 4-2 against the A's and the Mariners go with the sweep last weekend. To win the first 2 against Cleveland and then lose 4 out of 5 or worse would be really, really disheartening. But I think they've got a great opportunity. I think that we've seen they've been great on Friday nights over the last 2 years. And I think that this is kind of one of the tone-setting series for the year. You have to make up the ground when you go and you get swept on the road by Detroit in April. You've got to answer by at least taking 2 out of 3 when you get those teams at home. And this is absolutely a big opportunity. But I don't think that the current version of the Tigers and the current version of the Royals are some sizable gap. I think you could have said that last year when the Tigers were clicking on all cylinders. That's not what this version of the Tigers have been this year. So there's really no excuses for the Royals not to put their best foot forward this weekend and honestly pick up Ragans and Lugo. You got the injury from Ragans on Wednesday night. That's unfortunate. You got a really poor outing from Seth Lugo on Thursday afternoon. That's unfortunate. But Chris Bubich is a guy who was an all-star last year. He's plenty capable of going out there and putting together another quality start. And the Royals have gotten plenty of those quality starts. They're second in Major League Baseball in terms of quality starts from their pitching staff. So do that. And I think that people will be back in on this team. And that's the thing we talked about yesterday. The ups, the downs, the frustrations, and the optimism. This is a good chance to get people back on board again.
Oh, boy, we really have been getting a lot of glass half full Gabe recently. So, I mean, whatever it is, in the last month or so, boy, Gabe's really taken a turn for the positive, which is a good thing. We certainly appreciate that. But I guess one thing also I'd like to add that you left out there on Chris Bubich, it's also he's in the contract year, which is undefeated. So I think, Chris Bubich, one-time All-Star, he's a really good pitcher, wants to secure a big deal for next season and beyond. He's going to be on his game this year.
Absolutely.
So, hey, guys, we actually have Neil Jones out there at the stadium right now. He's going to go live in our 6 p.m. newscast, sportscast, actually, so about 6:20 p.m. Coming up on tonight's game, so you won't want to miss that. He's the one that's out there, boots on the ground for us today. But we have 4 more topics and about 17 more minutes here to talk. But we're going to start with maybe the biggest one that really had the eyes of college basketball fans, not only locally here in Kansas City, but throughout the entire nation, and it certainly will for the next month or so until the NBA draft, because today former KU superstar freshman guard Darryn Peterson did an interview with ESPN, and he, for the first time ever, seems to have identified the source of his cramping issues that kind of popped up last year for what he says was the first time in his career. We all know Darryn had debilitating cramps. Like there are reports coming out he had to leave practice. Like bad stuff was happening, full body cramps, wasn't able to play. Today, Gabe, he says that he was taking creatine for the first time in his life this year, and that the creatine supplement was what was causing his body to cramp, and he did not realize this until after the season. So to me, obviously, this is a little bit of a bombshell to hear today. I think Darryn Peterson was a guy, he was the projected number 1 pick going into this college basketball season. The college basketball season played out. Darryn Peterson had his cramping issue, wasn't always able to play. To me, hopefully this is what has solved the issue, but what are your kind of thoughts on this before I go too far down that road?
So I had 4 bullet points of thoughts on this that came to me, because it's the first thing. I rolled out of bed this morning and it was texted to me by a friend. This article was. So it was on my mind from quite literally 7 a.m. until right now. First and foremost, you get to the end of the article and there's a quote from a very good interview by Ramona Shelburne of ESPN. Got a lot out of Darryn Peterson, a lot more than maybe we got most of the season, whether that's on him, whether that's on KU, whoever was not wanting him to talk for most of the season. We can debate the merits of that PR strategy, but now we're getting him to reveal more things, and maybe that is being forced upon him or forced upon his camp because AJ DeBonsa and Cam Boozer are number 1 pick candidates as well, and they would like to up his status. I would say, I feel bad for the kid, and he talked about not feeling like he was able to put his best foot forward for KU basketball. Absolutely, that is not good. 2, I think it's very frustrating if you're a KU fan that of all the things it could have been, creatine is the source of the issue, allegedly. I've seen online certain people in the medical space saying, I don't know if creatine is the real culprit, or rather if it is just creatine being misused or misapplied and not being adequately hydrated for the amount of creatine that you're using. 3, I would say, you know what? You can't put gas is on everybody's mind, the price of gas. Can't put diesel in a Ferrari. So apparently this was just the wrong stuff for him to be taking. And 4, how did it take until postseason for them to run blood work and tests on him to figure this out? That is the thing that I can't wrap my head around, is that they tried all of these different things. He said electrolytes, he said meal prep, liquid IV, he was taking Element, he was doing rehab and all of these things pre and post practice. He was trying quite literally everything, and either he or the training staff or people around him never thought, hey, this substance that I've never been taking before in my life, that I just started taking when I got to college, and then coincidentally a month later I had a full body cramp that, in his words, I thought I was going to die on the training table that day. The fact that it didn't process to anyone is mind-boggling to me. So I guess the overarching thought is that I feel bad for Peterson. I feel bad for everyone involved that it didn't go to the best of everyone's desire. But it's still just an insane story, and it's been an insane story since it happened, and we've covered it the whole way through.
Yeah, I mean, certainly, obviously we want what's best for Darryn Peterson. Don't want him to have these full body cramps. Want him to succeed in the NBA and in life, and that's what it's all about. It's not, no one's here that's trying to cheer against Darryn Peterson. But I think you raise a really important question: is like, how was it that, I mean, this guy that's reportedly getting paid, you know, there have been reports. There have been reports
multiple
out there
millions of dollars.
Yeah, multiple millions of dollars, definitely more than one, to play basketball at the University of Kansas. And it's like no one found out that he was taking creatine for the first time, and they're spending all this money on the roster and on Darryn for them to be there. And like when he goes, I'm pretty sure like when you go to any type of doctor, or you have a physical, or you have some sort of like one of those situations, like you have to say like what medications you're on, what supplements you're on, how much you're taking, all this kind of stuff. And if this was something that just slipped through the cracks, like it's a failure on somebody's part. Like this is not something that can slip through the cracks and kind of have the situation play out the way that it did. And I think another thing I think that this might, not that I'm saying that this is what should happen, but I think it's something that could happen, is that now he can't have cramps anymore. Like if you think that the creatine is the issue, and you're going to come out and say this, and you're going to say that this is going to be the reason, this is why I should be the number one pick. I didn't realize that I was taking this substance, the supplement, I should say, that was causing me to have full body cramps, and now I figured that out, and now I'm good to go. If he comes out next season and there's a cramp, like all of a sudden it's like, well, now how can we believe anything that you say? Because we thought it was. I mean, but it's a complex medical situation, and we don't want anything bad. But it's, I guess for me, my initial reaction, if I was doing PR for Darryn Peterson, was that this puts him in a box, and the box is like, now the cramping issue has to be resolved because we've now labeled our culprit.
It's kind of like a Rorschach test of how do you view Darryn Peterson, because, and I had this conversation today with someone who works in college basketball and is particularly in player acquisition, that space of evaluating players and bringing players in, and who do you want to pick out of the transfer portal, all those kinds of things. And he said you can talk to scouts from the NBA level, and some of them are AJ DeBonsa people, some of them are Cam Boozer people, some of them are Darryn Peterson people. And honestly, this story can confirm to them honestly whatever they want it to confirm. If you were a Darryn Peterson believer, you can say, all right, the problem is solved. And he was the number one player. He had this weird problem for a year, and it'll be, we're going to move on from it. The other thing you could say is, if you like DeBonsa or Boozer, you can say, well, how was this such an issue for so long? And once you realized that the full body cramps were the issue, you got scared, and you, in Darryn's words in the story today, you were in a mental tizzy, basically worried that it was going to happen to you again. And as a result, you were 70-80% of the player that we thought you could be. So it's really just to the eye of the beholder. And Sunday we will have the news of the NBA draft lottery, and we'll see who the top 4 teams in the draft are, and we'll see really who the 3 options are for him to get picked by, pretty much, because one of those 3 teams is going to take the bet on Darryn Peterson. So I just can't wait to see how it plays out.
Yeah, I guess if I were a fan out there and I wanted to kind of know what to just follow the breadcrumbs. Look at the situation. What did Gabe just say? What is going to be found out next week? The NBA draft lottery. Why is this information being released in an interview to Ramona Shelbourne of ESPN right now? Like this is not happening in a vacuum. Like, this is happening for a reason. So obviously we hope Darryn's got this all figured out. He's a tremendous basketball player, and I think everyone, I mean, I don't think I'm being crazy when I say this. When you see Darryn at the peak of his powers, when you see AJ DeBonce at the peak of his powers, when you see Boozer at the peak of his powers, I think the best player out of those 3 is Darryn Peterson. Now, can he do it every night? Can he do it for an NBA career? That remains to be a question, but just skill. Boy, can that guy play basketball. Very cool to watch him. So, staying in college basketball, we got to really hurry here. We got 3 more topics and about 8 more minutes. But a local coaching legend, Ben McCollum, who won 4 titles, Division II at Northwest Missouri State, has reportedly agreed to a 6-year contract extension with the Iowa Hawkeyes. Now, Coach McCollum was born in Iowa City. He has called this a, quote, dream job. Now, there were some reports out there that North Carolina was interested in hiring Coach McCollum. North Carolina did not end up hiring Ben McCollum. They had to pivot maybe to a former NBA head coach that no one really suspected in Mike Malone. But Gabe, reports out there that Coach McCollum, Ben McCollum, signing a 6-year deal with Iowa. I assume there's probably going to be a hefty buyout, and it's not a 4-year deal. It's not a 5-year deal. It's a 6-year deal, at least according to reports. Do you interpret this as Ben McCollum passing on the Blue Bloods? Because I think you could say that he is.
I don't know, because I have not seen the contract, and as such, I don't know what his buyout is. So you can say however many years the contract is, and I don't think that the length of the contract matters. I think it's entirely about buyouts. And depending on how seriously or how much he wants to be tied to Iowa City and to the University of Iowa, that would tell you what his agent advocated for the buyout, or what the school asked of him. I think it would be a meteoric rise, and everyone would say it already has been a meteoric rise from Northwest Missouri State, where he was clearly the best coach in Division II basketball and one of the best coaches in the country, regardless of level, to dominating at Drake, dominating at Iowa, making it to the Elite Eight this past year. And if KU comes calling whenever Bill Self decides to call it a career, that'll be a test of, does he really want to stay with his hometown team? And if that even happens, we'll see. But knowing college basketball and knowing the way that buyouts work, ultimately, if somebody really wants to buy you out of your contract, those schools usually find the money somewhere.
You mean like K-State and Jerome Tang?
Well, they tried to get out of
they did try to get out. How could I forget?
So, I don't know. I don't think that we can close the book on it. It's good for him. I'm glad Ben McCollum has had the success that he's had. Congrats on the 6-year contract. Your name's still going to come up every offseason when there's a big coaching job. Todd Golden's name still comes up, and he's had a great job with a lot of financial help at Florida and just won a national title, and people are still wondering if he'll go somewhere else. So that's just the world we live in.
Hey, yeah, I mean, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to look and see that Ben McCollum is one of the best coaches in college basketball. And anytime there's a high-profile opening, like, he's going to be at the top of the list just because of what he has accomplished. And, I mean, the proof is in the pudding. And how about that? 4-time national champion up there in Maryville, Missouri. All right, 5 more minutes, 2 more topics. Shifting gears now to the National Football League, because today we finally have 2 running back contracts that we can really directly compare, because they both really impact and have caught the imagination of the Kansas City Chiefs. So today, Wichita native Breece Hall signed a 3-year, $45.5 million deal to stay with the New York Jets. $29 million of that is guaranteed. Now, Breece Hall is 24 years old. The Chiefs this past offseason signed the reigning Super Bowl MVP, Kenneth Walker III. He is 25 years old, to a 3-year, $43 million deal with $28.7 million guaranteed. So, Gabe, we know last year a lot of Chiefs fans wanted the Chiefs to sign Breece Hall. The Chiefs certainly wanted to or trade for Breece Hall last year. The Chiefs certainly wanted to add to their running back room. They chose Kenneth Walker III. I think for the Chiefs, they made the right decision. I think Kenneth Walker III, I think, is going to be a better fit for what Kansas City wants to do. What would have been, in your eyes, though, a better deal? Breece Hall or Kenneth Walker? Because the money's about the same.
The money is about the same, but you would have had to provide some compensation to the Jets,
yes,
in the form of draft picks or players or both to acquire him. So you would have been essentially double paying for Breece Hall, because you'd be paying to acquire the player and then you would be paying to extend the player. And when the contracts are similar, I'd say you're better off in the situation where you're not forfeiting draft picks, because we've seen what Brett Veach likes to do with draft picks, and it's usually trade multiple of them to move up in the draft. He just did that.
Well, here's a question for you.
Yeah.
Breece Hall versus Kenneth Walker III, just player-wise.
Player-wise,
in Kansas City?
I think Breece Hall is the better player, but in the vacuum of the situation, I think the Chiefs did the correct thing. And I think I also think if you had the option of being either of those individuals, you would rather play for the Chiefs than play for the Jets.
Let's not talk crazy.
We could ask, we could ask Justin Fields his opinion on that as well.
Yes.
If we really wanted to.
Great point.
I think it all works out. Good for Breece Hall getting his money. He also was operating out of he was franchise tagged, so his leverage
was
little. A little. Yeah, it was
very minimal.
Yeah, compared to unrestricted free agency for Kenneth Walker.
Well, I think these two guys, they're really just going to be kind of maybe right next to each other in their career, because I was looking them up before this. Both second-round picks. I think Breece Hall was picked number 36 overall. Kenneth Walker III was picked number 41 overall.
Yeah.
There's a lot of eerie things going on there. So, hey, we're going to see what happens there. I think the Chiefs are very happy to have Kenneth Walker III, and I think today Breece Hall said he was very happy to be in New York. So, good to see all's well that ends well. Everyone got paid. That's good news, as long as the check's clear. All right, last thing to talk about, playoff hockey is back in Kansas City. The KC Mavericks are in the second round of the Kelly Cup playoffs, which means they're basically in the Western Conference semifinals. They are taking on the Allen Americans. Now, 2 big things you need to know about this series. Number one, well, maybe 3 big things. Number one, the Mavs are the best team in the league. They have the most wins in the league, and they've allowed the second fewest goals in the entire ECHL. The Mavs, all season long, been a juggernaut. They're probably the prohibitive favorites here in the playoffs. Thing number 2, though, they're taking on the Allen Americans, who you could make the argument that Allen is the hottest team in the ECHL, and they're the last team to beat the KC Mavericks on a sheet of ice. Very important to think about. Then thing number 3 is, if this game, the Mavs are hosting games 1 and 2, then games 3, 4, and 5, if the 5th is necessary, on the road at Allen. So should the series come back to Kansas City, games 6 and 7 would not be played at Cable Dama Arena. They'd be played across the hall at Independence Community Ice, because there's some high school graduations going on that night. So Cable Dama Arena is booked. The KC Mavericks had to find another home, and they will not have fans if the series does go to games 6 and 7. But the good news is, though, if you're a Mavericks fan, they're the best team in the league. The series might not get to games 6 and 7. They might close it out on the road down there in Allen. We'll have to see how this all shakes out. But more good news for you. Games 1 and 2 you can watch on our sister station, KSMO, Saturday, 7:05 p.m. puck drop. Then Sunday, 4:05 p.m. puck drop out at Cable Dama Arena. And we'll have a full recap of both those games on Saturday and Sunday's editions of KC Sports Tonight. So playoff hockey in Kansas City, get out there. It's going to be fun. That's what KC Sports Tonight on this Friday afternoon. Take care, everybody.